Yo, I am back in Toronto right now, skipping school, which can only mean one thing, and that is a tech event, which I am always down for. This is the Samsung Galaxy S24 FE that was launched just over a month ago, which I've been using ever since, but let's address the elephant in the room first. Is it worth the $649 USD price tag? Well, that's sort of complicated because of how different pricing can work in different regions, what sort of carrier deals you have in your area, and the potential holiday discounts that are coming your way. The big comparison people are going to make is towards the Galaxy S24, which was released earlier this year, and it's around a $180 difference here in Canada, but I'd argue that a comparison to the S24 Plus is more fitting considering a lot of people prefer bigger phones, and well, that's a $480 difference. That is quite a big jump in price, but then you have to take into account carrier deals where the Galaxy S24 FE is somehow more expensive than the other two phones with promotions, but in some other carriers in the US, for example, it's completely free. So as you can see, I have no definitive answer if this phone is worth it where you live, but what I can tell you is how this phone is to use on a day-to-day basis, and if you're gonna be happy if you pick up one of these. Alright, so in case you didn't know, the FE stands for Fan Edition, which is the little brother of the main S series of phones, just with less premium hardware, while keeping most of the same features for a more affordable price. I mean, taking a look at the design, it looks almost identical to the S24 series with the same camera layout as well. It also feels fantastic in the hands and premium too, being made out of Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on the front and the back for extra durability. It also has an IP68 rating for dust and water, and you gotta love the recent trend of flat edges, in which this is a matte finish that I like. And just on the side note, the flip suit bumper case is quite cool, in which you can switch out the backplate for different designs and have the wallpaper match the case through NFC, which is cool, although they are a little bit expensive. And speaking of designs, the Galaxy S24 FE comes in 4 quite basic colors. The blue, which I haven't liked the most, a mint color, which I know there are a lot of fans of, and then you got your standard graphite and gray colors for those of you guys who like to play it safe. The only major complaint I have about this phone is how high the buttons are, in which on Samsung phones, the volume rockers are actually on the top of the power button, making it harder to reach compared to Pixels, for example, which are inverted. And that's because this phone has a 6.7-inch screen, which is the same size as the Galaxy S24 Plus, and spec-wise, they're pretty similar too. The screen gets a respectable 1900 nits of brightness, which is not flagship level, but still totally usable in bright scenarios, and in this day and age, you don't have to worry about compromising on colors or viewing angles for cheaper phones. Another difference is that despite the phone running 120Hz, it is not an LTPO panel, which generally leads to better battery efficiency, but that's totally fine because battery life is fantastic on this phone, which I'll get to later. What's not fantastic is these super thick bezels that just make the phone look ancient, especially that unsymmetrical and horrendous chin, but it's not the end of the world and you'll forget about it when you use it more. But when you do that, then you'll start to notice where some of the downgrades have been made. The haptics are a little bit weaker than what I'd expect and feel more mushy with less of that premium oomph you get. The speakers also don't get as loud as flagships of the same size, although it does sound pretty decent, which is typical of Samsung phones. And perhaps the biggest downgrade you'll feel every time you use this phone is the fingerprint scanner, because unlike the fantastic ultrasonic ones the flagship S24 series has, which unlocks the phone with just one quick tap, the S24 FE uses the old optical scanner, which is not as reliable and fast. It still works most of the time though, and having Face Unlock during the day to use as a backup is great, although just like all Android phones, it doesn't work in a dark because of no IR sensor from the iPhone. Also, just a button here for a little bit, I would love it if you could consider subscribing to my channel if you want to help this young man out in reaching his dreams of being a big tech YouTuber. But anyways, you'd think that the performance of this phone would be a big downgrade too, and while yes, you don't get the flagship Snapdragon chip anymore, the Exynos 2400E is actually not too shabby. I don't know what the E stands for, but in my eyes, it stands for efficiency, because combined with the 4700 mAh battery on this thing, I'm getting crazy endurance from this phone, especially with lighter usage when I'm busy. And I'm talking like 2-day battery life, even on a 5G network, which is quite incredible. But if you're a power user, I'm still sure that it can last you through the day with 6 to 7 hours plus of screen on time. I also love the fact that there's both wireless and reverse wireless charging on this phone too, so no compromises in that sense. Using the phone on a day-to-day basis is also fast and fluid, apps open slower by only just a fraction of a second, and the 8 gigs of RAM, which is the same as a smaller S24, keeps your phone open without reloading too often. The only point where you could tell this is a weaker chip is with gaming, where it's not super duper smooth, especially after long periods of time where the frames aren't as high as some of those top chips. Regardless of this though, I've said this for a long time now, and I just think that One UI is literally the most stable and reliable Android UI right now, with zero bugs and performance issues, which really give me confidence in recommending a Samsung device. Samsung also went big on AI this year with the introduction of Galaxy AI features that came out of the S24 series and the foldables, and it's always something I miss when I'm not using a Galaxy device. Like seriously. You guys all know about Circle to Search now, I'm sure of, which is basically just Google Lens on a screen, but just super useful because you can use it at any time on any app. Holding the home button lets you circle, tap, or underline anything you want and pull up a Google search for you, and it even works inside the camera app too, with the addition of a handy translate feature, which is extremely useful. And if you're the type of person to take notes, they got Notes Assist inside Samsung Notes, which helps you organize and summarize your notes. And there's also voice transcription in the recording app, ChatGPT-like writing tools to help you compose emails, and even useful translation features that let you not only hold a conversation over text with someone who speaks a different language, but even over the phone in real time, which is insane. My favorite one by far though has to be the Sketch to AI feature, as I always find myself playing around with it. All you need to do is draw something in the Notes app and boom, you actually get a more than usable result out of it, which is just so much fun. I also found this incredible for creating wallpapers, even with my non-existent drawing skills. You just give it a basic shape, choose the watercolor option, and voila, you get a wallpaper that you created yourself. There are even Galaxy AI features integrated into the camera experience, such as the AI Portrait Studio. All you need to do is take a photo of your friend, select a style, and boom, generate an actually decent watercolor or whatever painting of their face. Sadly, this feature doesn't include any of the environment around the portrait yet, but hopefully that comes soon with an update in the future iterations. There's even a feature in which after shooting a video though, that you can press and hold the video inside the gallery app, and the phone will use AI to generate frames in between to make it slow motion, which is just sick. Alright, that's too much talk about Galaxy AI though, but what I'm trying to say is that it's just so cool the variety of features it has, and seriously makes the phone so fun to use. And to continue off the cool camera AI tricks, this is the perfect segue to talk about the cameras on this thing. Unfortunately, the only sensor the S24 FE shares of its big brothers is the main sensor, but that's a good thing as that's the most important one. This means you're getting flagship level photos with all the nice punchy Samsung processing that we've all come to love over the years, a great amount of detail even if you zoom in and pixel peep, fantastic low light performance with nicely controlled dynamic range, and sharp 4K video that'll be great to share on social media. The ultra wide is clearly a little bit weaker, but you can actually still get some fantastic shots out of it in any lighting condition thanks to the magic of processing. The only real letdown I have is a 3x telephoto camera, which just doesn't have much detail and just falls apart in low light conditions, which is quite a shame because Samsung's portrait mode is the best in the entire industry in my opinion, and I would have loved to see the camera be able to take advantage of that. So in conclusion, the Galaxy S24 FE is not a bad phone at all, and as a matter of fact, it's great and I thoroughly enjoyed my time using it. If you can find a good deal on this phone and it's a lot cheaper than the S24 Plus, I'd say just go for it if you're set on wanting a Samsung phone and just don't have any regrets. Price is also really the determining factor here, like I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, so hopefully now that I went through all the details about the phone, you guys can make a good decision for yourself. And I guess that's it for the end of the video, and thank you so much for watching if you stayed all the way till the end. Also, don't hesitate to ask me any questions if you have any down below, and make sure to leave a sunglasses emoji down below so I know you guys are a real one. And also, make sure to smash the like and subscribe button as always, and check out my other awesome content too. And on that note, have a great one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.